People with only high school diploma who are broke are useless to society. Just deposit like $1 in my bank, he said. This happened at our high school reunion, the first in 25 years. As I was leaving the banquet hall to go to the restroom, I passed by the smoking area and heard Max laughing and talking. Peeking in, I saw Max, now a bank president, chatting away with his friends. It was immediately clear they were talking behind my back. Max, whose parent was a government official, has always looked down on people. I'll leave just $1 and close all my accounts, I muttered to myself quietly and left the scene. My name is David. I'm 43 years old. Today, I came to New York for our 25th high school reunion. I was born and raised in New York, but moved an island in Hawaii 15 years ago when I got married, so this is a bit of a homecoming for me. Having lived in the city my whole life, I was worried if I could adapt to living on such a different life on the island, but as they say, wherever I lay my head is home, and now I'm fully integrated into the local community as an islander. Now, just hearing New York conjures up images of a distant city, and even when I received the invitation to this reunion, I was hesitant. But it's the 30th anniversary reunion, and my wife suggested I should go, so I decided to show up. There are 3 ferries a day from the island. I left home early in the morning to catch the first ferry and arrived in New York by evening. The first thing I did was reunite with my old high school buddy, Mike. Mike and I remained friends even after graduating high school. We hadn't seen each other much since I moved to the island, but we've kept in touch for social media now and then. Mike was smart even back in high school, and now he's working as a lawyer. However, when Mike spoke with me, there was a simplicity about him, unaffected by any titles, just like the old days. We hit it off right away and decided to have a pre-reunion celebration, just the 2 of us. The high school I attended was renowned in New York as a preparatory school, attracting students with promising futures. It was a rather uninteresting school where most students attended just to follow the path laid out by their parents. Eventually, I got tired of studying, and, while everyone else was aiming for prestigious universities, I was the only one without a clear plan for the future. Being the only unserious student in my grade, even the teachers and my own parents found me difficult to handle. Mike was the only one who didn't change his attitude towards me. Even now, as a distinguished lawyer, Mike is fundamentally driven by a desire to assist those who are socially vulnerable. He could have been a corporate lawyer, living a comfortable life, but he chose to work in a small-town law office. By the way, I saw Max on the news the other day. Can you believe it? He's the president of Smith Bank now. Mike said, his face flushed from the alcohol. Max, if I recall correctly, was a class representative, and his father was a government official at the Treasury Department. I had heard about the youngest ever president of Smith Bank, even on the island where I live, but I had no idea it was my former classmate. That said, my parents were regular company employees, so I had no connections with high-ranking officials and didn't talk much with Max. But I remember that Mike was always very careful around Max because his parent worked as a secretary under Max's father. Max took advantage of that, making Mike, who was the school committee secretary, do all the grunt work and annoying tasks. Regardless of our parents' statuses, I believed there was no need for us kids to be apprehensive around each other, but Mike seemed unable to stand up to Max. Max always liked bossing people around. It's those types of people who end up in charge. I never really liked him much. When I said that, Mike gave her a smile and replied, "That's true." On the day of the reunion, all the classmates who gathered had aged gracefully and seemed to be living decent lives. Living on the island for so long, I found it hard to keep up with their conversations and felt anxious, like a young person visiting New York for the first time. Some had moved to the countryside in anticipation of retirement, but I was the only one living on an island, cut off from the mainland. Sure, Countryside living is peaceful and ideal for retirement, but the lack of major hospitals and conveniences can be worrisome. Many islanders have moved back to the mainland with the future in mind. However, the view of the island, surrounded by the sea in every direction, is incomparably beautiful, and I haven't found anything that can replace it. And then there's Emma. Even as I stand here, I find myself thinking about returning to the island. As we were having that conversation, Max, the bank president I mentioned earlier, joined in. No, he didn't just join in. He came to take over the spotlight. Max has always enjoyed drawing attention to himself. When taking the lead among our classmates, Max always had a gleam in his eyes. When I said, "Congratulations on becoming the president," he replied with a nonchalant air, as if to say it was expected. "This is my era now. I'm going to be a force that moves America," he laughed. In a joking manner, I said to Max, "Then, I have a favor to ask of a president who will move America. Could you establish a bank branch on our island? Relying solely on a basic post office is quite inconvenient." Max smirked condescendingly at my words. "Sure, I'll think about it. When that happens, David, you can be the branch manager. I'll make a special exception and hire a high school grad like you because you're my classmate," he said. To that, I responded with a sarcastic thanks a lot. I don't really mind being a high school graduate, because educational background is a thing of the past. But Max probably comes from a bureaucratic family background and has been through the grind in an academic-oriented society. So, I think he believes it's inevitable to be judged by one's educational background. Now that we are adults, we should just laugh it off. How much time has passed? As the party was reaching its peak, I decided to head to the restroom and left the banquet hall. The restroom was at the end of a long corridor, and on the way, I saw Max and a few classmates in the smoking room. I don't smoke, so I intended to just walk past, but unfortunately, I overheard a bit of their conversation. I heard the word high school grad and realized they were talking about me. In this school, I'm the only one who was just a high school graduate. People with only high school diploma who are broke are useless to society. Just deposit like $1 in my bank, he said. Max said, followed by laughter from several others. And so, memories of days gone by resurface in my mind. Though Max never said it directly to me, he used to laugh about me, a kid from an ordinary family, with his friends behind my back. I think laughing at people is a pitiful act, showing that the persons laughing aren't even aware of their own prejudices. It's surprising that even now, as adults, he would say such things. That such a person can become a bank president is absurd. I'll leave just $1 and close all my accounts, I quietly said to myself. In fact, my wife and I run hotels and inns on the islands of Hawaii, and in recent years, thanks to inbound tourism, we've been booming every day. In particular, the Museum Inn, an old house that was purchased and renovated with the help of a famous architect, is fully booked for the next 3 years. Smith Bank is one of our company's main banks, but I can't leave the assets of the company that my wife Emma and I built in the hands of a bank led by someone like Max. I met Emma, my wife and business partner, when I was 25. After high school, I worked on construction sites for a year, saved up money, and then traveled the world, not knowing what I wanted to do. I thought I had to leave America to find my future. Back then, I blamed America for being boring, ignoring the fact that I didn't have any dreams of my own. The world was as vast as I thought, but walking through foreign megacities didn't bring me much joy. In fact, they didn't seem much different from America. Then I befriended a young man from a small ethnic group in Africa and was invited to his homeland. There, I encountered the essence of living a fulfilling life. Their eyes, living a simple life in nature, sparkled more than anyone I'd seen before, and everyone was smiling. I had traveled through several countries by then, but I hadn't seen any advanced city where everyone was smiling like that. Even America isn't like that. People say Americans used to live fulfilled lives without much material wealth, but nowadays, it seems like Americans live oppressed by their possessions. I'm convinced that what's missing in America today, or rather in myself, is something those in Africa know all too well. So, I decided to live with them for a while and learn how to enjoy life. The local children, curious about their rare American visitor, eagerly exchanged cultural insights and games with me. During this exchange, I noticed a fundamental difference between us. They could easily list their own strengths, while I struggled to name even one thing that I liked about myself. "Why don't you know your good points, even though it's about yourself?" a young girl asked me, leaving me stunned. It wasn't that America was boring. I realized that not having interests in life came from not even being interested in myself. Upon returning home, I decided to travel across America with a map in hand. I realized I knew nothing of America outside New York, where I was born and raised. I wanted to explore various places in America and talk to different people. That's when I met Emma on an island in Hawaii. I fell in love with the island's beautiful landscapes and atmosphere and spent some time helping the locals while enjoying the scenery. In that scene, Emma was there. She was about high school age and would visit the lighthouse on the Cape every day to gaze at the sea. According to the lady who ran the inn where I was staying, Emma was the daughter of a local influential figure, born not in a good health and had never left the island. Since the island has schools up to junior high, but no high school, one has to go to the mainland for further education. However, Emma's health made that impossible. There are limits to what one can achieve by simply opening a textbook and studying on their own. Then I offered to tutor her as one of her home teachers. At first, her parents were puzzled by me, a stranger whose background they didn't know. But once they learned that I had gained the trust of the islanders, they kindly took me in. After staying on the island for about a year and teaching Emma, I resumed my travels, exploring every corner of America from north to south for several years. This extensive journey deepened my appreciation for America, but the most memorable place was the island where I met Emma. I wanted to live there forever. Emma, with whom I had kept in touch, also wanted me to return. Her parents trusted me, and upon my return, Emma and I got married. I was the one who proposed renovating the buildings on the island and initiating a revitalization project. By showcasing the island's charm through tourism and promoting it as a place for younger generations to relocate, we aimed to preserve the island's environment, a concept Emma's parents supported. Thus, a Grand Island revitalization project was launched. What pleased me most was that Emma, who had resigned herself to a life constrained by her frail health on the island, was able to awaken her dormant talents by getting involved in the project. She loved to paint and was truly talented at creating wonderful pieces. Together, with the support of the islanders and Emma's parents, we renovated the entire island, turning it into a significant industry that even gained international attention. However, for someone like Max, who's taking it easy in the convenient world of New York, the beauty might be hard to appreciate. They believe they're the ones driving American society. The next day, I visited Smith Bank's headquarters, where Max worked. After handing in my business card at the reception, I was quickly shown to a meeting room. Just mentioning my name would likely elicit laughter, but dropping my company's name would bring Max himself to meet me. As expected, Max was visibly shocked to see me. "Hey, just doing as you said." When I said that, Max, sweating on his forehead, asked back, "Doing what I said?" "Yes, I've decided to leave only $1 out of the $70 million and deposit the rest with another bank." Max, who hadn't expected me to be a president, suddenly changed his attitude as if his previous behavior was a lie, lowering his stance. "Please don't say that, President Tamil. Weren't we schoolmates, were we? He pleaded. His sudden change in demeanor was so astonishing that it went beyond anger and disbelief to almost admiration. Was this how he ingratiated himself with others to climb to the position of bank president? No matter how much he lowered himself, I knew Max's true nature. I can go along with such a proposal now. Sorry, but I'll be moving my deposit. Not closing the account, though. I may deposit again if I feel like it, I said. At that, Max's eyes gleamed sharply. Why do you have to go through the trouble of moving your deposit then? Is this some kind of spite against me? It's hard to predict what a poor man might do if he suddenly come into money, he said, finally revealing his true self in front of me. So, that's what you really think? Indeed, I am a newcomer to success in business over the past decade. I don't know the proper way to use money, nor understand the etiquette, but I do want to use what I have for the benefit of others. I replied earnestly, but Max half listened with a smirk. Is that so? Well, my apologies for calling you poor, but if you're unsure, why not let professionals handle the investments? Just holding onto money won't increase it. You have to aim to grow it. Max insisted, clearly not wanting my company's assets moved to another bank. It's as if he's saying what's mine is his, and what's his is also his. Sure, it's always good if the money increases, but we're interested in important assets here. We'd want to carefully choose who we are dealing with. In that case, it should definitely be Smith Bank. Max exclaimed. He seems to have a lot of confidence in his job. Or perhaps he's never doubted anything about himself. He was always believing he's right and supremely competent. I couldn't help but feel a bit envious of Max. Riding the rails laid by predecessors without a single doubt, I felt I could never measure up to Max. But even if Max was right, I couldn't bring myself to like his way of thinking. You think money is the most important thing in this world, don't you? I asked. Max laughed out loud. I wouldn't go that far. Saying money is more important than human life would cause an uproar. Even if I thought it, I wouldn't say it, he said. So, you do think so, just not out loud. Max's face deepened with wrinkles, casting stark shadows. It was as if a demon was smirking. David, there's no doubt that money moves this world. No matter how strong your sense of justice is, it crumbles like a straw hut before money. I've seen it, he said. I wonder whose view of the world is broader, Max's or mine. I reminisced about my past travels. The little girl from the African tribe I met back then probably didn't even know what money was. However, I learned something very important from that little girl. Still, I can't trust you, so I can't trust this bank you manage. I'll be moving my deposit. I stated clearly. Emma must feel the same way, I'm sure. But Max wouldn't back down easily. You don't understand anything. You're on the rise now and not thinking about the future, but when the time comes, you won't get much support from other banks, but I'd lend you the money, because we're school friends, after all. I was astounded by Max's shamelessness in saying such things. School friends, you've been mocking me for being a high school graduate. You don't think of me as a friend at all, do you? Max laughed, mocking you. Have I ever called you stupid? I might have said you're a high school graduate, but that's just a fact. It's trivial. To Max, it seems everything but money is trivial. He can pretend to be friends with anyone for money. I felt increasingly sad, frustrated by the inability to have an honest conversation. I could connect with people of different ethnicities, cultures, and languages, yet I found such a vast difference in values with a fellow American. I've never once thought of you as a friend, so please, stop considering me as a school friend. It's unsettling. I'll never forget the look on Max's face when I said that. It was a face of utter despair, likely to haunt my dreams. In the end, I ignored Max's words and moved our company's main banking to another bank. When I told Mike about this, he sighed and said, "I see, it can't be helped. But sometimes it's better to cut ties completely." Mike too, it seems, has cut ties with his father. According to what I've heard, his father wanted him to pursue a career in politics. So his father told Mike that he has been working, bowing and apologizing, under Max's father, who is a bureaucrat. However, Mike rebelled against his father's words. After enduring Max's pressure during high school years, was he expected to enter a world filled with nothing but constraints? Mike left his father to become a local lawyer, a dream he had long cherished, and worked hard to pay for his college expenses by himself. David, your thinking is correct. It's not about the results. What one feels in their heart is what's right. Max lacks his heart, Mike said. Indeed, I couldn't feel any heart in Max's words. And I sensed dark clouds looming over his future without one. Soon after, news broke that the youngest ever president of Smith Bank had resigned. Apparently, his prejudiced remarks and intimidating behavior towards his subordinates had been leaked. In the past, such matters could have been hushed before becoming public, but nowadays, the general public can be the first to know about incidents. Once spread in the vast world of the internet, information proliferates uncontrollably. Max received countless anonymous defamations, leading him to become paranoid and forcing him to lay low for a while. I felt a bit sorry for him, but this might be a case of poetic justice. A person without a heart attracts heartless words, which seems almost self-evident. As the island revitalization progressed smoothly and more young people expressed a desire to move here, I shared with Emma one wish I had. I wanted to invite the girl who had made me realize the truth back then to our island. I want to go back to the village in Africa once more, bring the girl, and guide her to this island. If the girl says no, then it can't be helped. After all, this is just my own wish. But if she declined, I intended to gift her one of Emma's paintings of the island before returning. Holding Emma's painting close, I set off once again from America, ready to share my story with the girl properly this time.